Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay, here we go again. Today being April 28. Oh boy. 2023. We are starting this Freedom Friday Forum on food insecurity. We have a wonderful guest speaker, and we have a lot of people who are on today as well in the rooms. And so we'll start by doing the official UNIA pledge to the flag. I commit my body, mind, and spirit to the protection, defense, and security of the red, black, and green. I dedicate my life to the redemption of Mother Africa and the liberation of our scattered Black children. I accept for myself and my descendants the teachings of universal African nationalism, and I promise that our children will be instilled with the purpose and knowledge of themselves as African people, in order that the cause of our struggle will neither falter nor fail until all Black people are free and united through one God, one aim, one destiny. Also, part of our ritual is the preamble of the Constitution of the UNIA-ACL, founded by Marcus Mosiah Garvey, his wife, and other ancestors. Now, this preamble is what describes what we're all about, the UNIA-ACL. So I do have to have it every time because we don't always have the same people on. And so we must let folks know, even those who were on before, they might forget what we're all about. The Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League is a social, friendly, humanitarian, charitable, educational, institutional, constructive, and expansive society, and is founded by persons desiring to the utmost to work for the general uplift of the Negro peoples of the world. And the members pledge themselves to do all in their power to conserve the rights of their noble race and to respect the rights of all mankind, believing always in the brotherhood of man and the fatherhood of God. The motto of the organization is one God, one aim, one destiny. Therefore, let justice be done to all mankind, realizing that if the strong oppresses the weak, confusion and discontent will ever mark the path of man. But with love, faith, and charity towards all, the reign of peace and plenty will be heralded into the world, and the generations of men shall be called blessed. So that's it. That's what we're about. That's the preamble. And so now we will go to the other part of our program, and that is our introduction to the public as to who we have here today hosting. Myself, Abu Mosi, and the good brother Congo Africa.
Welcome, everybody.
Yes, and we have also with us our first Assistant President General of the UNIA-ACL, Babu Senghor Baye. Yes, and we're saying to you again, welcome, welcome, and welcome to you, our guest, Sister Vicky. Now, you know, it's huh?
You were talking
Oh,
about
Duguet, okay. Vicky. Yes, indeed. Now, Sister Vicky,
Yes.
we're going to ask you to say a little bit about yourself.
Okay.
And you don't have to go through all that and tell them about all the PhDs you have or anything like that. Just tell them about yourself, a little bit of yourself, and introduce you, and then we're going to start our discussion as to, you know, what we said our theme is.
Okay.
So you have the floor, my sister.
Well, thank you very much, my brother. As you said, my name is Vicky Duguet. My middle name is Walker, which is my maiden name. And I wear that name very proudly because of my father's name. And that's my clan. I'm from Charlottesville, Virginia, about 120 miles south, down 29 south from DC, going into Central Virginia. I think a few years ago, there was an incident of followers for a political group that were running around UVA with tiki torches and just carrying on. That was a weekend I was supposed to go see my mother, and I didn't go that weekend. I didn't know what was happening, but I didn't feel well, and something said, you don't go home. I also do photography. I like to do street photography. So I would have been in the mix, is the bottom line. I would have been there because I would have wanted to go and take photographs because I want to document everything I possibly can. And I would have, I just, thank God for guiding me some days. When you don't know what to do, some days you just need to be still, and that was a day I had to be still. I'm still blown away when I hear it, still blown away. My family pretty much is based out of Central Virginia. I am the 6th generation Black woman in my family. The 6th was Rachel, and Rachel was 12 years old when slaves were freed in 1860. What was that, 65? I think it was 63, 65 or something. And anyway, she was a young woman at the time. She was 12 years old. She didn't know where to go. She didn't know where her family was. They had all been separated. Come to find out, her brother was less than 20 miles away from her, but that was, that was just ridiculous back then. So she didn't leave. She stayed there. She ended up having 12 children with the nephew of her slave owner. He was from Scotland. He came here, he was married, he had children. However, he took care of his Black children as well. It was against the law for them to acknowledge one another, so they called him Janny instead of Daddy. He sent all his kids to school. He sent them all to Hampton, the ones that survived. So that brings me down to my great-great-grandmother, Minnie, and her husband, William. They went to school for agriculture, and that's, what people did back then. They came back from school and ended up having a farm and the store. They had Banks Union that was named after them. They had a community that just sounded like amazing to me. I mean, growing up hearing the stories from my aunties and my grandmother and my mom, and it just sounded like just heaven. It was like paradise that they had going on, And I think, what was it? The one thing that they had that kept them all together, that brought everybody together, and it was about food. They grew their own food. Once a year, they had to do molasses. And that required everybody in the area to come together and work. So those were the stories I grew up with, thinking these people were just like, oh, so sad, da 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 da. But as I get older, I just go, my God, they were so rich. We're the sad ones now. We're the sad ones. They've made it. They've gotten their crowns. They're with Heavenly Father. My grandmother, she when I would go stay with her, because I spent a lot of time with my grandma, she was my babysitter. She would try to keep me calm and say, go water the plant. Go polish the silver, keep me quiet, out of trouble. And I found out that was such a beautiful moment in time to spend with my grandmother. To be able to watch something grow and know that I didn't even have to do that much to it, but it was just nurturing and it felt good. It was beautiful. My father's family, same thing. His mother's side of the family, Native Americans. And they grew up, that was all they knew. As he used to say, we didn't go to a store. Chicken? You go out back, you get the chicken, and that's dinner. We can really have dinner here. So it was just normal for them. My parents got married. They moved into a city. into the Charlottesville city area. Oh man, we were cute back in the 70s. What? We had a new house, new neighborhood. We were cute as can be. My father went in that backyard. He started tilling it up. He had rows of food going. My brother was like, "You've got to be kidding me. We look like country people. We can't do this." My father said, "Let me tell you, that's okay. We're going to be country people." And my father and my brother would go, "Dad, he's such a black neck." You know, that was a joke, right? He's a black neck. Because my father always wore cowboy boots and he drove an 18-wheeler. So my mom would go, "Oh yeah, he wanted to be a cowboy." And my brother would say, "Yeah, he wanted to be this or that." But whatever. The one thing I loved was the fact that I got to spend time with my father. And I can tell you, as a woman, there's nothing more important than having a father as well. You know, we're going to have our mothers, but we've got to have our fathers. Absolutely. My father was everything. He was king. He was king, you know, and there was nothing more beautiful than to be able to go work in a garden with my dad and pull out a radish, go to the water hose, rinse it off, eat it, and keep going. What? Kids don't know about that, right? What? It's run in the house. Let's get a popsicle, something sugary, something sweet, something unhealthy, and go sit back down in front of the television. So for me, gardening was about spending time with the people I love. It really, truly was. As I got older, I realized it was doing something else for me, and I didn't know what else that was. I have right now currently over 100 houseplants. During COVID, I realized that I was starting to get depressed. I was sad. You know, there was so much happening, you know, in the world. And my mother had died that summer right before. So I joined a garden club right next door. I just went, let me just join this garden club so I don't get caught up by myself. You know, my family's so far away. It ended up being a group of ladies, most of them Jewish. I was like the only Black woman for a minute. I was like, ooh, okay, that's all right. I can do this, you know. I'm saving myself here. You know, I know how to garden. Let me help some people. What I found out, they ended up helping me far more, far more. I ended up losing a lot of family members during COVID, and I used these women as surrogates for me. So I had someone to go to. I had an older person to go to and learn stuff from. My grandmother always told me, she said, let me tell you, there are two friends you need to have. You need to have a friend that's 10 years older than you and one 10 years younger. 10 years older so you can learn from, the 10 years younger so you can teach. Because if you don't teach what you have, there's a paradox. If you don't give it away, what you got, you can't keep it. You cannot keep it. It's just one of those paradoxes, little sayings that, you know, I've heard so many times, like, you know, progress, not perfection, you know. But that's one that's really stuck with me. So I did. And I got with these ladies and I realized, okay, they're not teaching me gardening, really. They're really not teaching me gardening. But I was learning some life skills. And all I could say was, you know what? Everything happens for a reason. These ladies helped me get to where I'm at today, to be sitting right here, you know, talking to you guys. So as they say, never look a gift horse in the mouth, regardless to how it comes to you, what color it is, or what they're saying, or the way they speak. You got to give people a chance. You never know. You just never know what you'll get. And during COVID, I have some neighbors across the street that moved in. They're Mormons from Midwest. Never lived around Black people before in their life. They came in, they were so kind. During George Floyd's killing and Black Lives Matter, you know, really got big. They brought me a sign one day. It was my first Black Lives Matter sign. What? These white Mormons bought this to me. I went, what? Couldn't believe it. They said to me, they said, look, whatever you have to share with our children, please share it, because they'll never learn it anywhere else. You have something to give them that we can't. I went, oh, okay, whatever. I started teaching gardening. That's what I know to do. because I wanted these young kids to know, you know what, regardless to what's happening in the world, I still love you as a person, you know, and I'm going to help you to be the best person you can. And you guys are going to help me to be the best person I can. So we're going to garden. So we made a big heart-shaped little garden at the end of the driveway. And I wanted them to be able to look out that window at night and just go, someone across the street loves me. So when I talk about gardening, for me, it's about love. It is truly about love. It's about my health, because what you eat, that's what you are, you know? It's a scary thing, you know, how many people that are going to bed hungry. We have over, oh my gosh, it was over 40 million people in this country go to bed every night hungry. Insecure. What? Are you kidding me? We're supposed to be the richest country in the world. What? We got policies on everything. Hey, why can't we get a policy on our food? You know, give us a break for putting a solar system on top of your house. Give us a break for having a little garden in your yard. Because not only that, every plant you grow is helping the environment. So if you're helping the environment, you're helping everybody else too. And this, you know, everybody. You're helping the animals. I mean, it's just amazing how much we need them to continue to do things. You know, we've got into situations now that you talk about a food desert. Man, we know where all the liquor stores are, where all the fast food places are. What? All the office buildings. You know, it's illegal here in Montgomery County. If you don't have a sidewalk in front of your house, you have to go back 17 feet before you can plant anything, because they have the right of way. Okay, so you buy your land and then you still don't even have rights to it, some of it, which is the craziest thing ever to me. And I watched that happen with my neighbors during COVID. They made their little garden up front. It was just running just a little strip of land between the two houses, right between the driveways, okay? But they put up a fence and the county said, this is permanent fencing, it's illegal. You got to take all this down. You have 72 hours before we find you. What? I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. It made me mad at that point. I was mad. You get mad, you got to go do something. What I decided to do was, I've got to help my people. I don't want no child going to bed hungry. Not at all. You know, I can help them with some gardening, you know. You can go to the food banks, and which I've done. I've gone to the food bank, dropped food off, whatever, you know, I've done a little fundraising like that. That's great. They go pick up their groceries, and they're going to eat. It's gone in a couple of days. You know, what they used to always say, you know, you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. You teach a man a fish, he'll eat forever. So my thing is gardening. Let me teach people how to grow their food. You know, you can do it in a pot. You can do it in a flower pot in your yard, on your balcony. It just starts small. Just small. That's it. That's all you gotta do is just start small. You know, and it's like, what else can we go do? You know, what else can we go do? So me, all right, I go buy packs of seeds. Okay, you go get a pack of seeds. It's maybe $5 for the high-end seeds. Okay, you're gonna get maybe 50 seeds in there. Wow. Okay, cool, no problem. Usually, when you buy seed packs, you're gonna get a really good yield. Okay, you're gonna have at least 90% of a yield that's gonna come up. Okay, maybe 10% of your seeds aren't gonna come up. But that's not a whole lot when you really think about it, you know? You think about what kind of investment are you gonna make in just a pot, one plant, okay? One little pot, a 12-inch pot. You can grow a tomato plant in that. What? Tiny little seeds. They look like nothing that would blow away, and they turn into this giant plant, you know? And to me, that's beauty, and that's God, because that's not something that we can truly create. He gave us everything we need. We just need to access it, and we need to teach one another, you know? We absolutely have to teach one another. So I did seedlings this year, and next thing I know, I had 300. I have over 300 little seedlings in my house. Um, there's very little I won't grow. And people are like, what are you going to do with all those plants? I don't have that much space, but you know what I'm going to do? When I up pot them right there where I made that cute little garden thing with the kids, I have some benches there. And I usually will sit things there. If I overgrow stuff, put it in a box. It's there. My neighbors walk by, please take it. Please take it. You know, because like I said at the beginning, in order to keep what you have, you've got to give it away. You know, you have to give it away. And with that, right before we open it back up for everyone else, I just want to share this with you guys, my little seedlings, my little tomato plants, and my basil that I got growing. Right here, this is just incredible to me, my little seedlings, my little tomato plants. I just love it. I absolutely love it. The basil already smells like basil. What? It is so delicious. So delicious. Something just so tiny, small. This tiny little plant. What? It is indeterminate. In other words, it's going to grow tomatoes as long as I can take care of it. You can actually bring some plants in winter and have them continue to grow. Tomato plants can grow for up to a year and a half. If you can keep them going, they will keep on producing fruit. I don't know how much you spend on tomatoes, but I can tell you here, man, it ain't cheap. It is not cheap at all. Not cheap at all. This little teeny basil plant, little teeny tiny basil plant, it's going to be 2 feet tall when it's fully grown. And you know, and the whole time you can still break it off, root it, pass it on. You know, it really, you think about it, you spend so little, you know, and we got all this dirt, this earth out here. What? We having a problem right now with global warming that is causing us in Maryland. We're now in a new grow zone. We're in a new growing zone now. And which means that it's getting warmer sooner. It used to be in May, you'd have a frost, so you wouldn't put anything in the ground. Wouldn't even think about putting anything in the ground before Mother's Day. Now it's April. What? I got stuff out there growing like crazy right now. I got bush beans growing, potatoes coming up, my beets are coming up. I got peas. Oh boy, the parsley, grapes, raspberries, blueberries. Yes, yes. And to me, that's freedom and that's love, is to be able to grow food to nourish a body. Like you were saying earlier, we're women, we nurture. You know, how do you raise your children? You love them. And what do they say? We just feed our families. That's the way we show love most of the time. That's how we get together. That's how we spend time together. Not just talking, but we got to eat, you know? Everybody's feet and legs up underneath the table talking, looking at each other. You know, that's, yeah. I feel lucky all the time. I feel so blessed. I feel so blessed because I really can go to the grocery store and afford some food. But there's so many people that cannot, you know? And as much as I do eat and I love eating it, I have to still remember there are people that are far less fortunate than I am. And they say, you know, while others are being oppressed, nobody's truly free. None of us are truly free. We're all connected, man. We're so connected. But anyway, thanks for allowing me to share who I am, what I do, my love, my passion, as you can see. Because I know how happy, you know, people can be when they're eating, you know, when you got that taken care of, that one little part of you taken care of, you know, because it's not just feeding the body, it's feeding the soul, the spirit, the mind, all of that. You can't do anything if you don't have the energy. You've got to get that energy from food. You know, the better the food is, the healthier you'll be. I have a brother who's diabetic. He's going blind. He's lost a kidney. He's on dialysis 4 days a week, and he's an amputee. I don't recall seeing my brother ever stick a vegetable in his mouth, really, unless it came out of a pot with some fat back in it.
Mm.
Honest, you
Mm.
know? And we have to take a look at that because it is our health. This is a health issue. It is truly a health issue. They don't want to give us health care. You see what they're doing to each other, too, you know? They're hurting women right now with health care.
Mm.
And healthcare really starts at home, man. It starts with how you eat, what you're putting in your system. And it's just something we've got to take a look at, and we've got to help other people, because if they're not eating, they can't do anything. You're angry. You can't do it. Kids can't learn. If you're hungry, you can't learn. You know? Thank you guys very much for allowing me to share that. I'll put my soapbox away now.
Thank you very much. I mean, that's really a beautiful, interesting, human story, and your humanity shows out when you give that story. You know, I mean, it's a wonderful story. I give thanks that you're able to share that with us. And you have said some things that well, first of all, I'm showing us those plants. You know, I'm upset with myself. I mean, you know, I thought I was doing some gardening, and when I looked at that, I'm waiting for it to get warmer. And you're doing this in April? Come on, what's going on? You know, well, I'm gonna have to do something. What about you? But
Hey,
anyway,
I've not done, but there's something that I like your passion, because quite a few times people may have a goldfish or a pet or a cat or a dog, but there's a lot of therapy that goes on with just putting something in the dirt, and then you see it grow. And then when you taste the food that you grew, how much better it tastes. You know, I mean, like the sweetest tomatoes usually is what you grow yourself, and you think like someone put sugar in it or something. I mean, I share your passion. I share your passion.
well, you know, and what you said there, it's something that people, if they take note of, they wouldn't be worrying too much about how far the grocery store is. You know, yeah. Well, I mean, I think I heard somewhere where it says a food desert is where a grocery store that sells fresh fruit and vegetables is more than a mile away from where you live, or a community, the community you live. That's a food desert.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's a desert only because maybe you were not planting. But then you mention again, where can you plant? I guess that might be some of the issues for people in urban areas, because they may not have the space. But you also said, you know, hey, take a pot, put it on your windowsill, put it on your balcony, put it somewhere where it gets some light.
Mm-hmm.
You may grow a tomato because the price of tomatoes, and then it's fresh and everything else. So that's, you know, that's one of the things we have to consider as a people.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that we need to get moving and provide food for ourselves, fresh food and vegetables especially. Because I mean, if they say 10% of US households are going hungry, or are in a situation of food insecurity, that's 10%. So countrywide.
Mhm.
But for African people in this country, it's about 25%.
Wow.
It's over 20%.
Mm.
And I know some of us are living in areas where we've got land we can plant. But let me ask you, do you think that maybe some people think that like you were mentioning your brother, that some people don't understand that they need to have vegetables and fruits as part of their diet?
I watched a video where it was a guy from England. He was showing some children. They were like maybe first, second graders, vegetables, and asked them, "What is this?" Half of them didn't know what the vegetables were. They had no idea. If you don't see where your food's coming from, you don't really have that much respect for it sometimes, you know? One of the biggest problems that we're having as well is food waste.
Mm,
There's a lot of wasted food.
mm,
And not only is this a problem, because when it hits the landfill, it's going after gases, you know? We're talking methane. We're messing up our air,
mm,
you know? Not only that, but right now, most of the vegetables and the fruits in the grocery store, they're coming from South America. You know, what did it take to get that from South America here? You know what I mean? First of all, they had to pick it before it was ripe. Okay. So it didn't get no sun. It ain't got no sugar, no sweetness to it. Okay. But it had to get transported here. All right. So now we got vehicles, we got emissions and gases, and we're hurting our environment because that truck had to come a long way, you know. It had to come a long way to deliver some food to a grocery store that we're going to overpay for that's not even that tasteful. That's one of the things I think of too, you know. When you start talking about, you know, food insecurities is how to be sustainable of this, you know, how can you continue this process? You
mm.
know, how can you continue the process? Because it takes really 2 generations. It's going to truly take 2 generations to for them to understand and to be able to really get it. So if you have a family, and we're talking about generational poverty here, okay? You go in there and you teach the family, okay? You get mom and dad to buy into it. Kids are going to buy into it quick, okay? I don't care what kids say when mom and daddy are doing something and you ask them to do something. I don't care all the funny little stuff they may say. But the bottom line is children want to be with their parents. You want to be with your clan, with your family group. And eventually you're going to do it. You keep looking at this food and smelling it being good, you're going to eat it. You're
Hmm.
going to eat it. We want kids to eat healthy. Teach them how to grow a vegetable. I can assure you they're going to want to eat that. They grew it? What? Can you imagine some kids that have no self-confidence, you know? That's a confidence builder right there. So we're taking care of a lot of different things with just teaching people how to grow something. Because it definitely gave me confidence as a kid, you know. I was whew, I thought I was something else. Like I said, when I joined garden club, I thought I was something else too.
Hmm.
And I still got put in my place, you know. And when I say I still got put in my place, I found out there were gardening classes. What? I I took my first gardening class and I found out what? There's 17 different elements a plant needs. What? Who ever thought about that? Who thought about science? And not only that, but you're teaching a kid how to do math as well. Because you need to figure out the size of an area to put a plant in too. So we're talking about a whole life lesson when you have a child and you're trying to teach them how to grow their food as well. You're showing them something. we're going into science, to chemistry, math. Oh man. And then just ask the kid, where did that food originate from? You can go pull that up on the internet. Where did it originate from? You know, a lot of it came from Africa. You know, look at all our squashes, our watermelons.
Mm, mm.
You know, yeah. Our people brought it over on slave ships. You know, I had a neighbor, one of my neighbors, she's from West Virginia. She said, I'm sorry, I need to ask you a question. We've been friends for a long time, neighbors a long time too. And she says,
I got her on, she's talking.
said, what is the insult about Black people and watermelon?
All of a sudden I'm in.
And I'm like, what? You know, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I
I
know,
never
but
thought
usually,
about it. I absolutely never had thought about that before. And what it was that Africans brought the melons over from Africa. That's what it was. So yeah, we have everything we need. We just forgot how to do it. We've forgotten how to do it. So yeah, we just need to teach. You know, it's no more than like breastfeeding. You know, God created a woman to be able to take care of her children. You know, to nourish them, to feed them properly. And now, you know, even we've lost that ability, how to do it. There's, you know, you got people now that are making a living going around teaching people how to breastfeed. That was never before. You know, mommy taught you that, aunties taught you that. No, you know, we're killing ourselves right now by, you know, just trying to do something fast and quick, you know. It is quick, it's fast going to McDonald's. I'm not gonna lie. It's tasty, but it's not good for us. It's clogging up our arteries. We're dying. We have diabetes. I mean, obesity is killing us. We're killing ourselves with food, with the wrong food stuff. That's the thing. It's the wrong foods. We need food, but there's a right one and there's a wrong one. I am very passionate about this. So I am a social worker by degree. And I was working in a jail, in a therapeutic community. And I went there to work because I know what it was like to be a Black person and know that, you know, half the men in your family are going through that institution there. You know, what can you do to help? That was always my question. What could I do to help? What I could do was, I wasn't afraid of these guys, and I loved them and cared about them regardless. And all I wanted to do was help them try to be a better person. That's it. Let me try and help you. So how dare me not still continue to try to help? You know, I always tell people, you know, the profession picked me, I didn't pick it. That's it. I was taught to love people, and, you know, it's there. It's there. How can we do it? Man, go plant a seed somewhere. You gotta look, what? Act like it's a daisy. Like I tell people, act like it's a daisy. You got a front yard? What? I bet it's all nice and cute. You know, you got flowers here and there. Stick a plant in there with some food growing. It'll come up, it'll look beautiful right along with it, because it's gonna flower before the fruit comes. So you're gonna have a beautiful flower. Okra, the flower on the okra is beautiful. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful flower. It's big, beautiful flower. Yeah. Incorporate it into your lawn. It can be done. It truly can be done. You can incorporate anything, you know. They say, oh, you can't have vegetables. Okay, most of the thing we're going to grow anyway is going to be fruit. So there. Tomatoes are fruit. As they say, sometimes you don't ask for permission, you just ask for forgiveness.
In quite a few communities, they have garden spots in certain cities. In certain cities, they've torn down houses and they have some
Vacant lots.
in the lots they grow food.
Mhm.
And to me, that I find that I was fortunate that I grew up part of my life on a farm.
Mm.
On the 5 acres that we had of that farm, we had more land other places. We grew everything we needed for the house. If you wanted sweet potato, you wanted watermelon, you wanted okra. Yeah, I mean, there was a patch there that you did. And as a kid, they also gave me a small patch for me to do my own thing, which learn. And you're proud when your plant produce things.
Mhm.
But there's something that also, just like how most Black people believe in either teaching our kids at home or in Black independent schools, we also, that's to nurture the brain. I think we can do the same thing with our food.
Mhm.
So if you have a quarter acre lot, you can put a nice and most of the time you're going to produce more than what you can use, so that you can give it away to your church or your neighbors or your friends or your co-workers and everything, which I've done, because the tomato plants, the cherry tomatoes produce thousands, and the tomato plants, they put a cucumber, everything. I mean, tomatoes are the most popular. But if you want, some people like sweet, so you can do strawberries,
Mhm.
and they're very sweet. They're very
I've done strawberries in hanging pots,
Mm,
sweet.
yeah.
and you can do, there's some small tomato plants that are determinate, meaning that, they're going to basically put out as much fruit as they can in a certain amount of time, and that's it. But even some of those are small enough, because they normally don't grow more than like 2 feet tall, that you can even put them in hanging pots. I've seen people with tomato plants hanging in pots, instead of flower pots. Yeah, they got food hanging.
Hmm.
It can be done.
I have a question, if it's time for questions.
Yeah.
Well, you can you can ask a question anytime. There's a pause, and then you can ask a question.
Okie dokie.
So the question and answer time, it's when everything else, are there any more questions?
No worries.
We're not gonna make a hard and fast rule as to, wait until then, etc. Something because you may lose your train of thought or what is the question in your mind. So if
You got it.
and we have
So
a little pause, bring that question out.
Okay, I'm gonna bring it out because I know Sister Vicky from the Garden Club at Aspen Hill Library. If you get a chance to see that library in Rockville, Maryland, it's really beautiful. And she is the president of the Garden Club. I don't think she's mentioned that.
Oh, she did not.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say that. And one thing I know that they are doing, according to Sister Vicky's guidance, I'd say, that the soil is being tested or getting into how to test soil. So it's always been a thing for my mom because she has a crazy green thumb. It's amazing. It like glows. Okay, so she could grow anything at any point in the house, outside. It's amazing. But she tests her soil, and I don't know how she does it. She never taught me However, is there some quick way we could do it, or what do you suggest for that? Because it's been it's kind of ingrained in me that you have to have good soil as well. And what does that mean?
Yes. Okay. Now, all right. You want to get into some chemistry here, okay? Because that's exactly what it is. I'm not even kidding you. My test kit, I have a soil test kit, and you're, getting so many little areas in, putting it in water, mixing it up, in your little tubes, putting drops in so you can see what you have and don't have. But it's also knowing what the pH is too. Okay, because sometimes you can have one certain, like a macro chemical coming in that will change the pH of something. So it's like there's so many different little areas and pieces. However, it can be done very easy and simple. It really truly can. The test kit that I got, soil test kit I got, it was given to me, but I've seen them for less than $20. It's worth it if you're ready to do something. Several plants. It is worth testing your soil. My yard, I had the soil tested every year in my yard, and it was because we went to a natural lawn cert. Because you want to be careful what you're putting in your yard too, because when it rains like today, we got all this runoff. So you put some bad pesticides in your yard, it's running off into our waterways. It's hitting the Chesapeake Bay. We're having problems with the crabs. I love my crabs. We got a problem. So we need to get back to taking care of things naturally. And as they say, the more plants you put in your yard, the less grass you'll have to cut. The less, and that's right. The less grass you have to cut, the less of a problem you're putting in the air, in the environment too. What kind of more are you using? Are you using gasoline? I can't stand the smell of a gasoline more. It makes me sick. So, that's another thought there too. What else is happening, Do we have, what kind of grass are you planting? Because we have insects that are living in the grass that are beneficial insects. We have pollinators that are going to live in things. You remember people used to always say at the end of the season, you deadhead things?
Yeah.
You go and you pick them, you dead. No, you leave it alone. You leave it alone. You leave it alone until spring. Actually, I just read in the Washington Post that April is called No Mow Month because you have pollinators and insects that are in the ground. They're still trying to come up out of the ground. So you have animals that are going to be, hibernating in some of the things you have. My window's right here, by the way. I can see my yard and my garden from my window. That's why I keep pointing this way. But yeah, so they're living in the dried flower that you have. You leave it alone. They will eventually move on. It just needs to be warmer for them. But it's so much more. I think about gardening. It is just so much more to it. So much more to it. That's something older people didn't know about. I don't recall, my family telling me about insects, to be concerned about the insects. The bee, come get that bee away, whatever, but we need them to pollinate. We need them to go from flower to flower to keep the pollination going, We're losing honeybees, Birds are falling out of the sky. Why? Because they don't have the proper food. They're not getting the proper food. Or they're hitting pesticides. It's just amazing how just something so simple, we take it for granted. We do. I feel as if we take it for granted. That I can run to the store and grab something. And that's the busy society that we're in, you know, everything has a consequence.
You know, Sister Vicky, you mentioning the pollinators, etc. I have noticed that, and I'll say the last 10 years or so that I'm paying attention,
Mm.
I don't see as many butterflies around as I used to.
That's right.
Last year, I was surprised that regardless of the butterfly plants that I have around, I don't have as many butterflies coming as when I didn't have these plants. And yet, you had a lot of butterflies coming around. So we're doing something that's
Mhm.
killing off all butterflies, or degenerating the environment to such a point that they don't want to be around here anymore. Or
No, they
something like
don't.
that. So what do we do then?
Okay, so you got caterpillars, okay, that are coming, you know, going to turn into butterflies. Now, if you done deadhead and you done went through your yard and sprayed, so your grass will be nice and green. That's it. You've done that. You've killed the caterpillar's home. They ain't got nowhere to live now.
Okay.
If you didn't leave it alone, let them go. They'll calm down eventually. Go crawl in somewhere and hibernate, and then they're going to come back. You know what? I have neighbors all the time going, "Oh, look at your stuff," you know, because I have these big hydrangeas. Oh, don't you want to deadhead that? No, leave it alone. It's not bothering you. This is my yard. It's still beautiful. Even dried, it's beautiful. But it's a home for something, you know. Even birds will come and pick things off to go build their nest. So you have to ask yourself, what have I done? Have I done something to you know, to stop them at the beginning? It's almost like you know, I wonder about like the mosquito spray. That, you know, there's a lot of companies you see they have their little signs up, you know, mosquito this, mosquito that, whatever. We'll come kill them for your yard, you know, for the party, whatever. Yeah, you just killed off a whole bunch of insects too. And I'm, you know, ooh, no. I am, yeah, you know, I still got a lot of areas that I haven't touched yet because it wasn't time to touch it. Bugs are still coming out. It's still getting cold, you know. They need to go somewhere and be warm right now. It's chilly out. Yeah. Yeah, I love hummingbirds. Have you ever seen a hummingbird's nest?
No, I haven't.
They say that it's the
I-
size of a quarter. Can you imagine seeing a quarter in a tree? You're not gonna see that. You're not gonna see it, but you know, I can tell because there's less hummingbirds coming around. That's what I noticed eventually a few years ago. I had far less hummingbirds. I had 3 hummingbird feeders, and one of them wasn't even being touched.
Wow.
And it was like, wait, something's happened. Yeah, I want them to come back. I want all those insects to come back. Because eventually there's going to be food that we're not going to be able to have, you know. When you talk about food insecurity, I think about the environment as well, because where was it? Not Afghanistan, I think it's Pakistan. They had like, it was, oh my God, about a third of the country was underwater. You're not growing anything there, you know. What? Oh my goodness, what is happening to our environment? You know, they're worrying about the floods. Here in North America, we have wildfires that are taking care of all this stuff. And they are burning down our vegetation. It's changing the atmosphere. You know, every little bit counts. As they say, every little bit counts. You know, that's one of the things I said to my son. You see now, Every vote matters.
Mhm.
Every vote matters. You know, get out there. It's like, yeah, every little bit counts. We've got to do our little part.
You got a question?
Yeah, I just want to take it. I know you're talking mostly about vegetables. There's some fruit trees that we can plant easily. Um, this far north you can plant apples, peaches, some plums. They may take 2 or 3 years to grow, but the thing is, it's dates are very good. And then also you can also, if you want to get ambition and want something bigger, there's always land that you sometimes you can get it free. People let you grow whatever you want to grow on an acre of land. But also, if we don't live too far from where we migrated from in the south, we can always go back and pay the taxes on our parents' farms, and instead of them losing it. And you know, you can do half an acre at a time, or acre or 2 acres at a time.
Yeah.
And it's very rewarding. It's hard work. It can be very hard work. It can also be very pleasant work.
Yes, that is so very true. That is so very true because there was a time when I was working at a community service board and I was doing a mental health assessment. And there would be sometimes a lag between the time people would come in and before they could see a therapist. Now, once they see a therapist, that therapist is going to recommend them to see the doctor. Now, it's going to take another few weeks before that happens. So here you have somebody that is depressed, anxiety. They come in for help, and it's going to take weeks before they're actually seen. What can you do? I remember this one lady saying to me, "What am I supposed to do then?" She's screaming and yelling. And I said to her, I said, "Can you just calm down for a moment?" I said, "Let's do something a little different." I said, "Let's get up and walk outside." She said, "Okay." We got out, we went, stood outside, just stood there for a few minutes in the sun. Within 5 minutes, she was starting to feel better. You know, we too need sun. We too need sun. So all of this is just, there's a connection everywhere. There's a connection everywhere. From the food that we eat to how you feel. So now you get out there and start taking care of your food, you're going to start to feel good because you're going to get the sun. You're going to get your vitamin D. Plus, you're making food.
I see Sister Althea looks like she's got another question.
Yes, I do. Actually, from all of my knowledge of the outdoors, of the recipes for growing a good garden, I never thought about it in terms of mental health, always physical health, but never mental health. And so when you look at food deserts and what attributes to that, but coming out of it and making the making a I would say a plea for having, you know, something to replace the food desert, quote unquote. And thinking about mental health, I've never really seen that written in the papers and articles I've read. And I mean, you just gave me a crazy aha moment. So have you in your travels come across a food desert or know anyone that's experienced it and what they were able to do in maybe finding a plot of land to plant or, you know, rallying folk to get to legislators? Did you ever learn about any approaches like that?
You know, I have not.
Uh,
However, there are so many people out there that have come up with these wonderful algorithms of how you could do this and do that and bring this about, how we can, get the food from one place to another so people aren't starving, they can figure all that out, okay? How to do it on the cheap, all right? And how to feed so many people cheaply too. So you start to genetically modify your food. That happened back about 40 years ago. They started changing our food. And what happened? We started getting sicker. We did. We started to get sicker then. And you don't make that connection of the mind, of mental health. But I look at it this way. It's mental health, that's the way you experience it. Okay? But your brain is in your body. It's all physical. It is all physical. It all works together. When I in social work school, mind, body, and spirit. And those three things have got to be incongruent with each other to have a healthy person. That's it. If you're not feeding your body, your mind is going to have a problem as well. And so will your spirituality suffer. Your spirituality is suffering, you're going to have a problem with your mind and your body as well. So it's like trying to bring all those things in together. And honestly, to me, it's like community. That's what I hear. When I think about doing all that stuff, I think about food deserts. Why we don't have this? Because somebody wanted to make money. You can't make money when people are growing food at home. So who are we getting rich? Who's getting rich? You know what I'm saying? They're getting wealthy off of us. Off a lot of people, they're getting wealthy. And we're hurting ourselves. But we're in a hurry though. We're in a hurry. Because you've got to have your cool car. You got to have your nice house. You've got to go to work. You may have to work 2 or 3 jobs. You don't have time to make food. You have kids. You don't have time to teach them how to cook anymore. Because you want some fast. We got to keep moving. Because they want those nice sneakers. They need this. They got to have that. You got to do this. You got to go do that. Spend some time together. Make your own food. Grow your own food.
You got to.
It's amazing what a child can teach an adult too. Okay, that's the other thing.
Alvin Mosley?
Yes, Brother Harold.
Yeah, yes, I'm in transit.
Okay.
One of the things that's missing when I usually do workshops with AOR and some other groups is that there's a lack of physical chemistry knowledge of how the body works and the elements in the body. So that's one of the major components, because when you do a lot of quote unquote processed foods or fast foods, when they say it's denatured, it means it lacks the necessary minerals or the elements from the soil.
Mm-hmm.
So we really have to get back in terms of how the body works, what roles the chemicals and elements play in it. Also, how does the community mental state impact your own internal physiology in terms of chemical stress factors in the body?
You're
So
right
it's very
on with
important.
that.
You brought this to my mind here. Sister Vicky, you're a social worker. You're working at, and this question has come to mind now. I don't know. Did you ever come up with the thought that maybe ignorance is one of the problems we have in our communities, that is supposedly a food desert or insecurity? That people
Hold a while, laddie. Hold 1 minute, right? Hello?
Mute yourself, Brother Patrick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know,
Hello?
is it a case where,
Yeah, I have Adi on the other line trying to see if he could help me with this
no, we can't. Oh, yeah,
Yes.
I'm
belt
sorry.
to install the belt. now.
Oh, boy, let me do this because, yes, I know. Okay, you know, people are poor, they're living in poverty, and they've gotten used to a certain kind of lack of nutrition kind of diet. And I'm saying nutrition and diet, I mean, but in essence, they're used to eating poorly. They don't know better, and so they don't know that they're in an insecure situation when it comes to food. And so, you know, when you talk about the science of body and all that, and Brother Harold coming up with all that, to me, maybe education is where we have a problem. Because if you're in a neighborhood and you're not getting fresh vegetables and fresh fruits and all that, and your family, being poor, can't afford to bring those things in with the diet, then you know, you maybe by generations you may be like that, and so people don't know that they're living in a situation of food insecurity or nutrition. They you know, they're not getting the right kind of nutrition. So education may be that too. I mean, how do you get these people to understand that? Listen, you know, you need to start a garden. You need fresh fruit. You know, fresh fruit. You need fresh vegetables. You know, you can start a garden, and they may have land in their backyard, and they don't know that they can do this. I mean, and that's where we come in, I guess. We all got, you know, doing this and the garden clubs and everything else, or maybe making a public stance as to educating people that they need to improve on their nutrition. Oh,
Mama Mosley,
yes.
one of the things we need to adjust, even what Mama That just posted about when you have 11-year-old mothers and 22-year-old grandmothers, is that there's need to be an effort, and when you start to use like social media, like the other, like TikTok, Instagram, about just having educational snippets about gardening and the food and impact on the body. So maybe it's about those of us who are quote unquote doing this on a daily basis. Maybe we just need to start to use the smartphones and the other medias that we have to actually counteract the non-education.
Yeah. In other words, maybe you said snippets, but yeah, we do a TikTok thing about, you know, well, how good a bowl of strawberries are, you know. You know, a whole lot of people don't eat strawberries, believe me. So how you know, what eat some strawberry, or show them, you know, what you can do with some strawberries and how, you know, tell them how nice it tastes, or any kind of fruit for that matter. We know everybody, you know, in the Black community knows about watermelon. And I'm just joking there in a way, but I mean that. But so yeah, I don't know of any Black person who doesn't know about watermelon. But anyway, people need fruits, they need vegetables, but a whole lot of vegetables Black folks don't eat. I don't know what's that little, what's that little tiny cabbage? What do you call it?
Brussels sprouts.
Brussels sprouts. Try
They're so
Black
angry.
folk Brussels sprouts.
Those little bitter Brussels
You
sprouts.
see that? You see? But we need that kind of nutrition. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
You know, I want to tell you what my brother did, if that can help.
Yes, go ahead.
So my sister-in-law and my brother, they have 2 children, 2 boys, and when they were very young, we were in a car with them driving somewhere, and the youngest said, "Mom, I want McDonald's." And I was surprised because my family grew up very food conscious and aware, and my mother cooked every day. So we always got fresh food. But when he said that, I realized he was used to, at an age under 3, that he knew what McDonald's was, and he knew when he was passing it, that's what he wanted. So, my brother and I talk a lot, and he was just like, hey, I know it's happening, but I know we have to do something about it. But the key was, he didn't, he has his wife. How do you, please her and then please his kids? And how does he be the man, the wife, the husband, the father in this case, and not upset the family? And I realized that what he was doing was being the teacher, but allowing his children to figure it out by using video and online programs that he would show them. They could only see certain programs. And then after a while, it was about, what are the vegetables, what's proteins, what are you supposed to eat, nourish your body, etc. And then they were teaching their mom what they should be eating. It happened over like a 2-3 year period. And I would say, down with all the television and online sources, but seriously, to kind of counter, as I think it was brother, is it Heru, was speaking about, but using like to counter counter digital media and using the smartphone. Is there a way that we can do it? Has somebody done it? My brother did that with videos. It worked amazingly. So now the kids want to eat fresh and food and good food. So if anyone knows of that, I agree with that. And I was surprised that I would, because I'm all against it, but I'm just wondering.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I'm gonna take it a different way, because I'm just going by what I observed. The Amish and the Quakers, they have their standard of preparing food, of no antibiotics and stuff like that. And they set up markets, and it's well attended and well served, and I know they make a profit. The Jewish people have their kosher food, and the Islamic people, they have their halal food. I would like, I'd like to make up a new word, or Nubanize our food. And we set a standard of what we're not gonna do with food, genetically or fertilize it or whatever. And a word like that would also help people to, if you grow at home in your garden, okay, that's a humanized food, but also the small black farmer brings something, hey, this is humanized food, or some way of identifying that it's black. And we need to do that to identify, like, okay, and it has standards. Okay, we're not going to use lousy fertilizer. We're going to make it as natural as possible. And again, let's we can put the same standards that the halal and the kosher people do, or the Amish. But I mean, we need to do that to keep ourselves alive. I mean, because it's, our mortality is always up there. It's amazing that we're still alive, but we need to grow our own food, just like how we need to educate our own kids at home and in Black independent schools.
I know one of the things I thought about recently, I was reading about Maryland and the new cannabis laws. So I think it's July or something. It'll go into effect of how many plants a person can actually grow of cannabis. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Now we know if you really want something happening in this world, okay, we can't get Rihanna to do it, all right? Because she's too busy being a mama right now. You know, we're not going to get Jay-Z to do it. You know, he's too busy with all his houses, right? But let me tell you something. You got to find a way to make it sexy. You got to find a way to make it sexy. That's it. Make people want to go, oh, what's this? Now I remember DC having seed exchanges of cannabis, right? So you can go line up, you know, there would be like a seed exchange. They were giving out so many seeds, there's a certain amount of time. Now, why can't we do that with plants? Why can't you do that with a plant? I mean, that's something that I personally thought that's something I can do. I can go to the park with a tray of plants that I've started and start handing them out. Because let me tell you something, find some people, some people who are maybe homeless, okay? If they can get their cannabis, they can get their drink, they can get some food too. They truly can. Because not only that, let people know it takes the same skill to grow a cannabis plant as it does a tomato plant. Except for that tomato plant is going to keep on producing. And it's going to give you a much better result than a cannabis. The cannabis is cute. It looks good, you know, it's sexy. You know, you look cool. But you know, eating is kind of cool too. So that's my thought is, you know, hey, you got to act like you got to meet people where they are. You talk about teaching them, you have to meet people where they are. Are you willing to go to the places where people are that are hungry? You know, I say that to people all the time. I work with homeless people too. Love homeless people. They're real. They're real. They're going to want what you give them or not. And they're not going to waste your time about it. They're not going to waste your time about it. But they're usually very grateful for whatever you can do.
Yeah, Sister Vicky, you know, that brings me to this part where you mentioned they're giving away cannabis seeds. Why can't they give away food seeds? That's public policy. We need to be more active. I think one of the things that you know, social activists should be doing right now, understanding this business of insecurity and deserts and all that attached to the word food. What are our politicians doing? Are we influencing them? Are they unaware that these things are happening? We know that they know, but then it's coming to my mind now that you said it, that somebody's making a profit from the way we do, you know, this stuff is going on. So, but the people need to really get to the point where they can influence public policy. And go ahead, Brother Harold.
One of the things that I talked about, especially in DC, when they did a lot of these quote unquote retail developments, is that a lot of these companies get actually tax forgiveness or don't pay any taxes or reduce taxes if they have like a store as part of the development effort. The developer gets a tax break, gets a tax break. So because I know there are several instances in DC where food companies were given grants to set up food stores in the area where the city would give them a great development facility, and then they had to pay the development costs. So it's there, but the thing is, we have to change. We almost have to be more vocal or more aggressive in terms of making sure that the politicians actually put the food security first, because food insecurity leads to what was talking about mental issues and social problems.
Yeah.
So it's very important that we really, for those of us who are in the know, even on the local level, you almost have to become more involved in the political process,
Yeah.
as well as public policy.
Yes, true that, as they say. I think it's very important. And as we were saying earlier about who's making a profit, I mean, I'm trying to talk to place where this business of let's say food stamps and was it SNAP and some other thing and how do these things relate to food not being grown in our neighborhoods? Maybe when those things are coming out and people can get that to get food from a store that's not selling fresh food or whatever it is. I mean, where's the incentive?
You know, it is very difficult. Someone spoke about public policy. We had a first lady, Michelle Obama, in the White House. What did she do? She put a garden in the White House. What happened? We had GOP. They're still complaining about that now. That she had the nerve to put a garden in at the White House. What? Nixon had a bowling alley. He used to go bowling. Nobody complained about that, you know. But what did she do? She was trying to teach children, educate them on healthy eating, because there is an issue with obesity with children. So the education was out there and it was trying to be taught. But then you have opposing forces. They don't want you to learn that. There are people who truly don't. They would rather for you to just keep on eating something that's whatever, that's quick and easy, make you think that you need to keep going to do this, do that, to look good, to feel good about yourself, which you probably don't. Okay. Let me just say, I ran across the statistic. I love it. 95% of the serotonin comes from your gut. And that's the uptake of the neurons in the brain, okay, that help to get rid of depression and anxiety, all that stuff, okay? It's coming from the food you eat. Now, if you're not getting the good food and you're still going to have a problem, you're going to see the doctor, okay? Now, he done made some money. The drug companies, they're making some money. Everybody's getting rich and we are just dying. And we could just do a little change, just start tweaking slowly. Like I said, you know, at the beginning, it's practice, not perfection. You got to start small. You got to start somewhere. You know, that's it. You've got to start small. You've got to start somewhere. When you start to look at the big picture and you go, oh my gosh, you know, can I do this? Can I do that? It becomes overwhelming. But if you think, oh, let me just try to grow one plant. Let me just talk about this one plant instead of something else for a while. You know what? There's a nice kid, the neighbor. You know what? It's Christmas time. Let me give you a little plant to grow, kid. You know, what are we doing at the holiday time? You know, what are we doing? We're getting things that are easy come, easy go. It's kind of changing the way we think as well. You can't expect other people to change if you're not going to change your thinking process as well, you know? And for me, I always think small, and that is, I got to clean up my backyard first before I go clean up anybody else's backyard. So I need to take care of my community first. I need to teach the people here. And it's gonna permeate word of mouth. It'll get out there. It will definitely get out there, but we have to start talking about it and making it something that is normal. You know, we talk about going to the grocery store all the time. I got to go to the grocery store. I got to go do laundry. I got to go do this. I got to go do that. Hey, won't you come over, help me, you know, hang out in the yard with me while I, you know, go prune this, you know, tomato plant. You know, yeah, there are different ways of doing it. So yeah, I'm starting to look at that. Is how can I make this sexy again?
Mm.
Because it did kind of get there during COVID. Because you remember we were having a problem with distribution, with food and all of this. The people were stuck at home. They were trying to figure out what to do. They were making sourdough bread and all this other stuff. They started gardening too. They're going back to work. They ain't got time for gardening. The animals are going back to the shelter. You know, some of us just got to keep it up and just keep it going and keep talking about it and just keep passing it on.
What is interesting is that with all this climate change right now, there's a talk about how on the West Coast and the Midwest, with all the rain and the weather problems that they're having, is that within another 6 months to a year, there used to be like a major supply chain issue in terms of produce and food. So this is right before the storm. So the situation will arise again where the people really have to start to think locally and stop being dependent upon using the industry and a long distance supply of food chains.
Yep. Well, thank you, Brother Harold, and thank you for that picture that you sent with showing you're teaching your nieces how to make pickle. I mean, yeah, educating kids is very important because I mean, in the old days when we didn't have TV and other distractions, you know, kids come home from school, etc. You know, there were things like that to draw their attention. But now you've got, well, they even have phones now. I mean, they don't need, they go to their room and they're on their phones. I mean, you don't even see them anymore. So, but you know, my sister, I have to thank you. It's almost time for us to close, but and I have to thank you, Brian. But I have to ask you one question. You live in Montgomery County, in the Rockville area, perhaps, and speaking of animals and all, and you know, you like bees, you like animals. How is your garden doing with all the deer they have in that area?
Well,
I thought I'd throw that one in.
well, let me tell you how I'm doing. There's this thing called deer netting, and I have wrapped my stuff. I don't care. It is a black net. You won't really see it until you come up on it. I don't care how it looks for a while. Just give my plants a chance to grow, okay? And not only that, but I also have like a 92-pound Chesapeake Bay Retriever that that I have been known to go out there and a deer stand there and look at me and I'm going, you should be running. You're not running. Okay, Sam, let's go, bud. You know, you need to exercise here because he's just going to run to the end of the street, turn around and come right back.
Yeah, I know deer is a problem for folks, and I'll tell you that, I mean, I planted okra and I never thought that since it's a foreign fruit kind of food to these people up north, these animals up north, but it turns out that they love okra. And you know, if you're going to be planting that stuff and not having a fence or that deer net, as you call it, you better if you're thinking about it, you better have some netting to keep them out. I mean, I couldn't believe it. They like okra. I would say they love it. I mean, you couldn't even, I don't know if they smell the flowers. You know, the beautiful flowers, like you said. Yeah, I mean, they're really beautiful flowers. And we do have to be careful with planting, and we don't want our work to go to naught because animals will come and eat them. So yeah, but what do you tell you give that advice to your garden club members, right? Is that what?
Absolutely. Use deer netting. You know, pick and choose your battle. We do that all the time. We pick and choose our battle. I'm going to fight the deer over my food. That's it. And I'm going to just use my deer net. And my dog gets some exercise from it too. But yeah, I mean, there's always going to be something, you know. There's always going to be something. And much rather go spend the money and get my deer netting and have my good food that's clean, and
Mm.
then I have to go give all that money to somebody else, to get a tomato that's, in 2 days is going to be yucky, and it's not even going to be that tasteful anyway.
That's
You
the
know.
part. The taste of food that comes from the industrialized agriculture.
Exactly.
Hmm. Well, you have a question? If there, I should ask this question to everyone. If there are any other questions, this is your time. Because after this we're going to close. So if there are any questions, please bring that forward now.
One thing that I'd like for us to do is to expand or experimenting with different foods. Although Africa and South America has given a lot of different fruits, there's still more that they have there. Africa has like about 20 different grains that we don't get here. They have them there. The Caribbean, sometimes we have some fruits and some plums and some fruits that it's not exported here. I mean, to me, the kiwi came all the way from China. It's here now, and I eat it. We got to get our brothers to see how we can get the food from Africa, either to be shipped here or to be planted here, so that we can have a bigger variety of and humanize some more of our foods.
Well,
There are a lot of seed companies in this country that sell seeds that are just so varied. It is absolutely insane how many different varieties of different foods you can get. We're in America. We're the richest country. We're supposed to be the baddest people on the earth, This country's supposed to be just super bad, right? They say we can get anything we want. Let's work on trying to get some of those seeds and sharing them and educate our people, That's what I want to do. And that's what I like to do. When people come to my house to visit me, they leave here with a plant. End of story. You always leave my house with a plant.
Hey, don't say that too loud. You may be getting some knocks on your door because do you have any persimmon plants?
I do have 2 fig trees.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, my sister. Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay.
Quick comment. First of all, I want to thank my sister. I told you, Sister African Queens ruled, and what you shared tonight was nurturing of the minds of brothers and sisters who think they know. I'm gonna say that again. Brothers and sisters, not just people who don't know, but brothers and sisters who think they know got an education tonight. You shared some very, very inspirational information and key that if we return to self-reliance, there's nothing that we can't do. We must learn how to grow our own food. We must learn how to teach our children about the importance of nurturing and growing food, because it is about life and it's about nurturing. And despite the cell phones, despite the TV, we cannot acquiesce to that. There are a lot of young people who want the knowledge. There are a lot of young people who are doing well. Everybody's not going to make it. If people want to eat themselves to death, I hate to say it like that, they got that choice. God gave us that choice. Either you want to live or you want to eat yourself to death or you want to die. And so it's important for us to deal with those people who want to live, and we need to pull some type of cooperative together. So on behalf of the UNIA government, I want to appreciate you once again. Thank Baba Mosi for another excellent Freedom Friday, and particularly to you sisters that are on here who are still trying to nurture us children and the world. We in the UNIA believe African women rule. You have been a great guest. We welcome you
Thank
into the UNIA because actually
you.
UNIA is for all Africans, and members like you who are giving understand the importance of uplifting Africans, and we will win. We will survive. Those of us that are serious about God and our inner selves will eat right. I'm learning. I got plants right here. People gift me with plants to put in the ground. We got a brother named Brother Haru Forata to say you can order any kind of mango you want from him. He's got all kinds of mangroves growing right here in the United States, in Florida. So we don't have no more time for excuses. We need to be very real about a sustainable development is part of learning we are what we eat. And if we eat garbage, we're going to be like garbage. If we want to nurture our minds, we got to eat right. So I just thank you once again, Baba Mosi. Thank you. And you, Congo, for wonderful guests. Sister, please join the UNIA. We need.
Thank you so much, brother. Thank you. Thank you.
And I'll let those be the last words, because I can't go after that. You know, that's our first assistant president general, and you don't go after the first assistant president and make him look bad, because you know I got some nice words I was going to say, but I'll keep that for later. You know, myself and you know Baba Senghor, you know, we tease each other a lot, but so my sister, again, thank you very much. You've been such a wonderful guest. And please, can we call on you again?
Please, sir. Please.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
And I would like to thank everyone who's been on this program with us. You know, Brother Gilles Charleston, is that how you pronounce it in him?
You didn't say anything.
No, well, maybe he's muted. Thank you for coming in and being our guest. We'll close now, and hopefully you know. Okay, let me also say this program, it will be uploaded to YouTube, and it will be on our Facebook page. So folks who have missed this will be able to see it again. And for those who look at it on YouTube and Facebook, please, you know, hit that button and like the program, because we want it to be shared, and we want everybody to understand, because what the knowledge you got here this evening, you know, from our good sister Vicky, you know, it's coming free to you, but you know, just that pressing that like button, you know, that's all we ask, you know. So she's been wonderful. And I have to, you know, talk to thank our sister Althea for the introduction or the reference, so that we were able to hear you this evening. It was very good. Thanks again. And everyone, we would like to, I'll close off with the motto of the UNIA: the one God, one aim, one destiny. Thank you very much.
Peace and love.
Yes, yes.
Peace
Thank
and
you.
love. And see you until next time. All right.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay.
Turn it off.